We are very, very excited to have a collaboration event between Maurice and Renee. Maurice, Renee, I'll get you guys to introduce yourselves. We're going to sit back and enjoy and participate in this wonderful event. What better time to talk about gratitude? Yesterday was World Gratitude Day. We're here. We're excited. Thank you for sharing with us. Over to you guys.
Perfect. Thanks, Jenny.
Yeah, well, this is all really exciting. I think we've got a few more, and I think a good place just to start, give everyone 30 seconds just to share what they have been the most grateful for in the last week. Jenny, because you're in the top left corner, I'll get you to start.
I've been really grateful for the sunshine. Very, very grateful for the sunshine. It just means you can go out and enjoy. On Sunday, we caught up with a friend in the park. It was wild. It was so just great to go out and everyone's outside and smiling and feeling really connected with other people because we haven't been able to be for so long. So yeah, I'm just feeling really grateful that we can actually go out now.
It is good. Julie?
I'm okay. I thought I was on mute. What am I grateful for? Well, I'm grateful that we're not in 4. So, lockdown 4. I'm in 3 and a something or other here in the country. 3 and a bit or whatever. And what was really exciting is I've just shared that I went to see my daughter and I haven't seen her since the last lockdown. And it was really lovely, actually. We went, I don't think I should say too much because everyone's going to be jealous. We went to Echuca for lunch.
That is very exciting.
Yeah.
Deepa, what about yourself?
I have been grateful for people around me. That is what I'm feeling so grateful for.
Thank you. George?
Yeah, I'm grateful. I think I've said to a few people, I still am, for Harvey, my dog.
Aww.
It's amazing how he reinforces that the simple things are often the most important. And stick to the basics.
Yeah.
We as humans just complicate stuff.
Yeah.
That's true. As a new puppy owner, can definitely second that. Craig, what about you?
Hi there. Yeah, gratitude this week. I had a great week spending some time with my kids. Yes, the beautiful weather, out for a long bike ride. Got to sit and talk to them for a while in a park, which obviously haven't been able to do for a long time. So, it was really appreciate the time with them and also the relationship I have with them. So it was great.
Awesome. Michael?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm a political animal, so the first thing I have to be grateful is that I'm not in the United States at the moment. But definitely following Jenny on the Sunshine Trail, and homeschooling is off for the holidays, which is great.
All right, Lupcho, last but not least.
Morning, guys. Sorry for being a bit late. What am I grateful for? I am grateful that I've got an amazing partner. We're expecting, obviously, our first child in just under 3 months now. We got approved for a new property to move into in the middle of next month. So I don't know how I'm going to pack before then, but anyway.
Awesome.
And I was out in the garden on Saturday from 11 until 6:30, gardening all day. So that, despite the fact that I'm a bit sore, I'm grateful that I got to spend the day out in the sunshine.
That's good. Well, last week you were telling me about how a puppy changes your life, and I can affirm that you're correct. She's just completely melted my heart. I feel like a different person, and that's probably what I'm the most grateful for at the moment. What about yourself, Renee?
The journey's only just begun, Maurice.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for quite a few things at the moment. A standout for me is my sister's having her second last chemo treatment, hopefully the end of October. So feel like we've sort of come out the other side. So very grateful for that. And I think I'm a real summer person. I think this weather just lightens everything. And I was saying earlier, the smell of jasmine and the sun, and even looking out and seeing that just makes me, just very grateful to be here. And today, obviously, collaborating with Maurice through this amazing community, I feel really blessed. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, now that everyone's here and we've shared that, I think it's a good way to start the day. It's pretty crazy. I think it was in March, Renee, when we first actually met. And I think it was during one of the Symphony 7 boardroom sessions. And I think we got put in a breakout room, or we caught up afterwards. And just from the first time got on like a house on fire. And then with COVID and everything, didn't actually get to meet. I think the next time we spoke, you were the only person I actually met face to face in that little break we had.
That's right. And we got so caught up in our conversation, and we've both never done this. We both missed our next meeting.
But yeah, so the conversation continued, and Jenny introduced us because we were both working on something related to gratitude. Renee's got a new book coming out, and one of the chapters is about gratitude. And we got talking, and then a couple of months ago, we were really saying, well, what can we do for the community? How can we create something around gratitude to take these conversations we're having behind closed doors and share them? And that's really what today is about. And I'll let Renee share a bit more about what we're going to cover today, and what's as well part of the bigger Take 5 Gratitude series, as we've named it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Maurice. So thanks everyone, first of all, for making the time. I know we all get caught up being human doings, and it's nice to take a step back, I think, and become a human, what we are, a human being. So Maurice and I, as he's mentioned, we've created a 3-part series, the Take 5 Gratitude series, with today being the first one of 3. And this is a program we just love to share with you today. Please provide any feedback. And it's a program that we're looking and working on taking in-house with companies to bolster on both of the areas we specialise in. So, why did we create this series? It's gratitude can be such a throwaway word, and it takes more than just writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day. And maybe you find it hard because we get caught up in the doing. Maybe it's not taking that self-reflective time, or maybe you are actually grateful, but you're not tapping into it at a deeper level with a discipline. So the series is in 3 parts. Today's all about the 5, and we've kept everything to 5, the 5 obstacles to create a life of gratitude. And Maurice and I really believe obstacles are the opponent to success. And if we know what we're up against, we can really sort and perceive the world to bring in what we need to cut through that. The second one we're running Thursday, actually, if anyone is interested, is the 5 swift steps to mastering a mindset of gratitude. And we've got a beautiful model called the Heart Model, and it's a process that you go through. And last but not least, how to implement gratitude. So this is all about 5 key ways to bring gratitude into your life just in 5 minutes a day. So the good news is gratitude's not hard. When I hear people say, oh, Renee, it's just hard, hard is really something you haven't mastered or done before. I always say it's unfamiliar. And as soon as we use that reframe, we can really flip the script and the way we think about things. So today we're going to jump into a bit about what gratitude is, and then kick off with the 5 key obstacles. So Maurice, over to you.
Yeah, it's gratitude is definitely a big word. I think it has a lot of interpretations. Just hearing what everyone had to say earlier today, the weather seemed to be a big part. Kids tend to come up quite a bit, pets as well, seeing family and friends doing well. So there's many, I guess, objects of gratitude. There's many types of being grateful for. Just to, I think a good way to look at it is that there's different degrees of gratitude, different depths. There's the mindless gratitude, which is saying thank you, which is sort of a second nature, but you might not really associate any feelings with it. It's just what you're supposed to do. Then a degree under that, one deeper, is mindful gratitude. So it's a feeling. It's what happens when someone does something for you and you really have that moment where you go, oh my God, I am so lucky to have that person in my life. You can also, if you're doing it as part of a daily practice and it's really a quiet reflection time and you sit there and think about something great that's happened and you take the moment to really associate with those feelings, that's the second degree. And then the third layer is what I call a mindset of gratitude, is where you really start looking at whatever's coming, you know, whatever life is throwing at you. You pick out the positive things in there. You try to focus on what you can do, what you have versus what you don't have. And I think this third layer really only comes through practice. Perhaps one day they'll find a genetic trait that means people are more grateful or less grateful, but I really think anyone can get to this stage just through regular practice by making it a priority and something to do every day. So that's what gratitude is to me. It's not just one thing. It's a spectrum of emotions and behaviors.
Yeah. Definitely, Maurice. It's a three-dimensional, isn't it? We sort of talk about it like an onion, and there's so many different ways we can do it. So can I just ask, and just really, really quickly, even a show of hands, who at the moment is practicing gratitude?
Oh, wow, that's good. That's a...
Can I say mindfulness?
Yep, yeah, yep, yep. Which is being in the moment and being present, which we're going to talk about. Nice segue. Thanks, Julie. So in all of the, as Maurice mentioned, I've just finished writing a book. It's just gone off to the publishers, The Gift Mindset. And one of the 12 gifts is a gift of gratitude. And one of the 5, there's a lot of obstacles to gratitude, but one of the 5 key obstacles, and Maurice and I were really strong on this, is the lack of self-reflection time in and out of work. So we want you to look at this in and out of your business or your workplace. Self-awareness is key. And I always say self-awareness is like the foundation of a house. It's got to be solid. It's got to stand the test of time. Without it, you can get a house up in 6 months, you know, but it's not going to last the test of time. So we need to step back and make self-reflective time. Your thoughts create your feelings and therefore what you action or you don't. So when it comes to gratitude, whatever you're thinking and telling yourself is going to really dictate how you feel and whether you action gratitude or not, internally or in gratitude to other people, objects, things and situations. So it's really something to think about. Thoughts plus feelings will equal your actions. So even coming along today, and you're obviously all open to gratitude or you wouldn't be here, if you've come in with an open mind, you know, saying to yourself, what can I learn? You're going to feel open and eager and receptive to learning. And most probably you'll action some of the things from today. So why does self-reflection time get in the way? The first thing, and, you know, I do a lot with leaders, time poor. And it's a bit of a cop-out, really. We all have the same amount of time, but people become time poor and skill stretched, and they look at self-reflection time almost as a bit indulgent. They don't understand the process to do gratitude or be self-aware, and it can scare some people. To Julie's point, you know, mindfulness can open up a lot of things great and things that are confronting. And I think sometimes we put that on the back, you know, on the back burner, so to speak. Another one is, especially in Australia, we have a bias to action. We like to be active. There was a really cool study done on professional goalies around defending penalty kicks. And they actually worked out if the goalies, you know, didn't lunge you know, stayed in the middle and didn't lunge left to right, 33% of them would have been able to protect that goal, but only 6 of them kept still. When they were asked why they were running around and didn't stay super focused in the centre, they said they felt like they needed to do something. And I think this is a really good way to look at self-reflection. We always feel like we need to be doing, and self-reflection can pay dividends if we take a step back. I'm a big fan of what I call reflective leadership. And that's, you know, leading yourself, leading team, leading a business. And it's where you have really, really high self-awareness, and therefore your interactions and behaviours become, I guess, a source of learning for you and for others around you. So I think first and foremost, this self-reflective time you need to jealously protect, almost diarise it. You know, we have, Maurice and I both have clients and friends and family that will put away a certain amount of time to self-reflect in whatever way that is for you. So what we thought we'd do, everyone gets ratings, it's pretty easy. What we want to do is just get you to jot down 1 to 5. Yep. So 1 is self-reflection time is not an issue. You couldn't be better at it. 5 is you make no time to jealously protect that time to self-reflect. 3, yeah, do it now and then when you remember. So that'd be great if you could just, even in the chat box, but get it down for yourself, because we're going to come back to this a bit at the end. Yeah. So did anyone have a 5 on that? Thanks, Michael. You got a 2. 3 from Julie. 2, yep. Thanks, Craig. 3 from George. 3 from Jenny, yeah. 3.25, there's always one, Lucho. What about you, Maurice?
I'm on mute, the thing we hear the most recently. I think I'll be a 2 myself. 2, sometimes 3, really depends. It's, yeah, I mean, I think a lot about the obstacles to why, you know, just on the basis of self-reflection time, what gets in the way.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just the time I wake up in the morning. If I wake up the right time, I have plenty of time to do a bit of self-reflection, to do some exercise. If I sleep in, that's it. And that's, yeah, for me. So getting to bed on time is directly related to the other one. I think for everyone, there might be other reasons. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that and being so honest about it. And to your point, it's what you do. What does self-reflection time mean to you? For me, it's cooking. Cooking's my zone out. I'm not a still person. You will never find me on the couch watching TV. And if I am, I'll be writing and on the phone at the same time. So for me, it's cooking. I go into a bit of a zone out and a state. What does everyone else do, just quickly, for self-reflection time? What is it for you? Julie?
Oh, do you want me to talk?
You went off mute, so I took that as a cue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, look, I love riding my bike, actually. I used to do a hell of a lot of road riding, and in which case you have a lot of time because it's quite long. But because it's a bit dangerous on the roads, I've been doing mountain bike riding, and that is so peaceful because of the bush.
Yeah, beautiful.
And you're looking at the wildflowers.
Yeah, nice. I love that. And what we'll do is, at the end of this, we're going to come back to our 2 highest rated obstacles, and then have a bit of a chat about how to overcome those. So thanks for sharing that. There's some beautiful stuff there. Family prayer time and a shower deeper. Michael, I have my practice. Yep. Focus internally and swimming. And he's got internally twice there, so that he really does do that. Walking, Jenny, yeah, that's one for me too. Still one of the best exercises you can do.
Mm.
So Maurice, I might put it just for the sake of time over to you for obstacle 2.
Sounds good. So obstacle number 2, and this is the one I personally struggled with the most over my lifetime. I reckon this is the one obstacle that used to be number 5 for me. It's probably now a 3 or a 2. But it's the obstacle of self-entitlement. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what I mean, because self-entitlement can mean a few things. But the way I see it is that we get brought up in a world that expects certain things from us. And that when you do certain things, you get certain outcomes. So go to school, get good grades. And when you get good grades, you get a good uni, then you get a good job. So it's always, if you do this, then you'll get that reward. It's the if, then this equation. And I don't have any issue with those individual things, right? Going to a good university has a lot of benefit. You will learn a lot of things. You will develop your skill sets. There's nothing wrong with that. What, however, can create a challenge or create a problem is when you're just looking at that as something you need to do to get a certain result. And what this does over time is I like to think of it in this way, is that it builds this mentality of I deserve this. Oh, I got really good grades. I got the best grades in university, so I deserve to get this job. Oh, I did really well in my job, so I deserve to get a promotion. And it, you know, the common example, and hopefully not so common anymore, it definitely was a thing with my grandparents. But it's the man who comes home and I work really hard all day so that you can have a house and everything you want. So I deserve to have dinner put on the table and I don't have to clean up and all of these things. Again, it's that I deserve mentality. And the moment we put I deserve in front of something, we also block our ability to feel grateful for it. So if I deserve this, then it's no longer a gift. It's no longer something you were given that you can feel gratitude for, but it is something that you feel entitled to. And that is a huge blocker for it's something in the brain doesn't allow you to have both. So it's a big one, and it keeps coming up in different ways. What I've really found the best practice is to try a bit of humility. Try and practice humility as much as possible. So on this one, same thing again. I want everyone to rate it from 1 to 5. So 1, this does not apply to me at all. I never have this issue. 2, 5, this is definitely a big thing for me in my life. And I would also love to hear what some of the I deserve statements are for people that they might have noticed already in their lives, if anyone is keen to share. That's good, Deepa. Humility all the way.
So yeah, so I used to, this thing of thanking for everyday things have helped me in some difficult situations. Like I'm thankful when I feel like, okay, I'm thankful for a normal day, or I'm thankful for my healthy parents. Those things, when I think like that, it gives me happiness. So that is why I practice that. Okay, I'm thankful that my mom is healthy today. I'm thankful that my nieces are playing right in front of me and they are safe. So those kind of things which we take for granted otherwise, that has given me a sense of peace and happiness. So
awesome, thank you. Well, we've got a few responses. So it's in the 2 to 3.5. Everyone's getting very precise with their measurements here, which is probably a good thing. Maybe we'll have to jump it up to out of 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
George, deserve a pay rise. Yeah. And yeah, so I think there's an interesting, thanks for bringing that up, George, because it points it's a good thing to discuss as well. There is, to a degree, you might deserve things, right? You might have worked really hard, and yes, you should get that promotion. But by telling yourself, I deserve it, the moment you get the promotion, you're not even going to be grateful for it. So it's really about how do you manage that mindset to go, okay, well, I'm going to work really hard, and perhaps not set the goal to be about the promotion, but to add value. And when you do get that promotion, you'll just be grateful that you got it. So it's just keeping that that storyline in check about what we're telling ourselves we deserve.
I think, Maurice, there's it's probably worthwhile mentioning as well. So for a lot of years, I actually struggled with praise and being able to ask for things that I felt like I perhaps did deserve. You know, I'd put in a lot of good effort, put a lot of hard work, and then would just expect people to bestow upon me the riches associated with that good work, right? And what I realized after a lot of self-reflection and sort of introspection was that was actually a cultural paradigm that I'd received from my parents. Keep quiet, do your job, you'll get the praise, right? But the harsh reality is that we live in a very busy society where that sort of ethos and that sort of ethic there's not always time, or people might miss it. And so if you're actually not able to say, well, hey, here's what I've done, and here's the results, that you might feel that then breeds into a space where you feel like you're being overlooked. But in actual fact, being praised and getting rewards for, just effort sometimes is actually a partnership where you need to actually let people know what you've done so that they can, creates a space for them to give you that. So I think there's a lot of little small intricacies that play into, because sometimes it's kind of okay to feel a little bit entitled for something if you've done the hard work, but you got to keep it in check so it doesn't get out of control, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're entitled to everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's on one end, you all of a sudden don't feel like you deserve anything, and that's not positive either. We had a discussion in one of our last sessions about money, similar thing where people feel they don't deserve money at all. And it's finding that balance in between the two.
Yeah.
Awesome. Just because we are time Nazis here, Renee, I might pass on to you for the third obstacle.
Thank you, Maurice. And I think that there's some awesome stuff that's coming up on the chat. And I think we were talking, weren't we, Maurice, about entitlements in the eye of the beholder too, and the expectations you have of yourself and others. I think that's important too. So the third obstacle is vagueness and ambiguity, what I call grey gratitude. And you can see organisations that have this grey gratitude. And what it is, it's where it's quite topical, it's not specific, it's happening because it's on the wall that we're a gratuitous business or whatever. So this is where we forget to provide examples, where we're not specific, sometimes not intentional. And an example could be, and I you hear this a lot, hey Joe, well done. Instead of, hey Joe, well done on spending time with Mary to really, really get the team to the next level. So I think we need to step back, and this links closely into self-reflective time, Step back, take a pause, and you've all heard the be, do, have model. Really focus on who you need to be before you do anything to have whatever you're after. So it's that whole mindset and habit piece of stepping back. There was some research done by the Happiness Project, and it was quite profound. they sent hundreds of letters of thank you. So beautifully written little letters of thank you out. And people's happiness went from 2 to 4%. When they actually picked the phone up and articulated in the same words as they'd written in the thank you cards, it went from 4 to 19%. And the reason this is direct gratitude can help us sometimes be a little bit more specific. And obviously we know as human beings, you know, you're bringing tonality, body language. I always say, listen to what's not being said. And you can also, by doing this, and I'm looking at George's screen because I do a lot on the right and left brain, you can bring in what lights the other person up. So if you're being specific to someone that loves detail, maybe a great problem solver, is awesome at, you know, looking at potential problems and pitfalls, you might voice the gratitude for them in a more detailed way. If it was someone like me, creative, big picture, you might actually voice it in bullet points. So you're tapping into what lights the other person up, and therefore you're connecting gratitude, I believe, at a much deeper level. So I'd love to ask you 1 to 5. So 1 is this is a massive obstacle for you, that maybe you do gratitude, but on reflection, it isn't specific or could be more specific. And 1 is it probably couldn't be better. What have we got? $2.5, 2, 2, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, and I always say if that was a 5, you know, if that was a 1, what would be different? Now these are all quite good. You're all obviously going to gratitude at a deep level. But what's something someone's been in gratitude for? Let's just share 1 in the last few weeks. And if you look back, you probably could have done it in a deeper way. Who's happy to share?
See everyone's thinking faces on.
Yeah. I mean, I can give you an example. The other night I've been up very late at night editing, like 2 in the morning, and my hubby probably shouldn't have bought me a coffee at that time, but he knew I was up all night, and I could have just said thanks, but I actually got up and said thank you and gave him a big hug and just said thank you for just being there and getting where I'm at with all of this. And it's just that next level. It takes it from being grey to, I think, being vibrant and authentic and intentional.
Mm.
Having a regular supply of toilet paper. I love that, Michael. Yeah.
I think I'm happy to share. I think it's funny how, as a society, we have been so conditioned to not both giving and accepting gratitude.
Yeah.
And, you know, with no malice intended, the other night I just walked into the bedroom and looked at Beck. She was in bed, and I said, you know what, I'm really grateful to have you in my life. I really am so happy that, you know, we're sharing this journey together. And she went, what's wrong? What did you do? And, you know, it kind of talks to it's almost like people think the only time someone's going to give them gratitude if they've done something wrong or something's broken. It's actually not an accepted part of, you know, our society to say, it's okay. I can say, you know, George, I'm really happy to have you as part of my community and have you in my life. It makes a big difference to me. That almost feels foreign for most people because we don't do it enough.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Lucio, that's a good point, and it's our map of the world, isn't it? It's a generalization that we put on things that we can get caught up, and strengthening that if we don't take our time to step back and rethink the way, you know, we think about it. Deepa, having a mum who is the most humorous storyteller I've ever seen and a dad that encourages it. See, and that probably goes hand in hand, Deepa.
Yeah, it goes. That creates the environment. You know, even if you feel depressed or dull after doing a whole day's work, when you come to the dinner table and listen to their conversation, so that's the only time I stay put. So I don't want to really talk anything. I can just watch them talking with each other.
Yeah.
So yes, and I used to tell, I nowadays I explicitly tell them that I'm happy that this is happening. I'm happy that I can be an audience and watch it.
Yes, I love it. And they're obviously in flow, and you can see when people are in flow in that sort of conversation. So that one is a really big obstacle in and out. I see it in the workplace a lot. You know, I said, well done, and that's it. But if you really, really want to reward good behavior and get a culture that shares best practice, we need to be more specific and intentional with our gratitude.
Yeah, Renee, the other thing I would add to that, particularly when you've got a team, is, and I think this talks to exactly what you guys are covering off, you've got to know the people that work with you.
Yeah.
And what actually turns them on, if you like. And I think in the past there's been this sense that to get too close to your team is not a really good thing, because one day you might have to discipline them, sack them, whatever.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, if you're close to them, you know exactly, they know exactly where they stand, and it becomes a more fruitful conversation. And generally that doesn't happen anyway. But the examples that you've gave us too that I can share, one is there was a girl that used to work in the team. Her family was in New Zealand, had no holidays left, absolutely worked her bum off, was trying to get back home to see her family. So we said to her, look, don't worry about it. We'll pay for the flight there and back. You just go and spend your time there and basically have a week off on the company.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Now that was something that we knew would appeal to her for obvious reasons. In other instances, it was just give someone a red balloon voucher.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So there's some really simple things that you can do to show that gratitude, provided you know the people who work with you and you know what appeals to them.
Yeah, George, I love that. And it goes back to gratitude is in the eye of the beholder. So you might be a person where recognition's enough, like verbal recognition for someone else. And a lot of leaders do go and incentivize and reward based on how they like to be incentivized. So I think you're right. It's knowing your team and tapping into what I say, what lights them up.
Yeah.
And then leveraging and appreciating each other's differences in everything, and especially in gratitude. So no, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Maurice.
All right. Obstacle number 4. So this one is, I think, probably due to the times we live in, especially living in a country like Australia or most parts of the Western world. Deepa, it'll be interesting to see your perspective on this. I've personally lived in Laos and in Africa growing up, so I have seen the difference in perspective. But this obstacle, and we struggled to name it because it can be put in a few ways, but we landed on complacency. And I'm going to explain a little bit what I mean with complacency. Now, our brain has a nifty little tool or hack it does, which is called hedonic adaptation. And we've all had it before, where we got the new iPhone and, well, this one's not new, but we got the new iPhone and for a couple of days we were really excited. Or we got a new toy or something, you know, the new job, the promotion, the raise, whatever it was. And for a few days we were really excited. We might even have been really grateful. But then very quickly we just fall back to this norm. And that's the process of hedonic adaptation. Now, what happens when you live in a country and in a place of constant abundance? Everything you have, all of a sudden you get used to, right? Well, I don't need to be grateful for this phone, for this laptop, for this house. I've got it all. And we sort of get used to it. And it's this treadmill we run on. And all of a sudden we have everything, but we feel completely empty. And it's the start of being complacent with where I am and sort of nothing really exciting me. Now, this feeds into comparison thinking as well a little bit. If we see someone else have something, whether it's the iPhone or the job or success in some sort that we want or we would like to have, then again, it feeds that sense of, oh, well, I'm not really happy with all of these things I have. I'm going to look at someone else for what they have and try and get that as well. Look, it's something we just have to, again, coming back to Renee's first obstacle, awareness. Having that time for self-reflection time gives us the opportunity to really think back and realize what we do have, and actively practicing gratitude for these things can help overcome that feeling of, oh, it's always comes back to the same, or there's nothing excited to be about. This happened actually to me again last week. My fiance's phone bill ran out, or her contract, so she got a new phone, and it's still there. I can see it, beautiful new box, and I didn't have a problem with my phone at all until that one showed up, and I went, oh man. And then I rang up Telstra and I was like, can I get a new phone as well? And they're like, yeah, you can, but it'll cost so and so. I was like, oh, fine, whatever. But it was just this not being happy with where I currently am. That really has an impact on then finding things to be grateful for. So I think this is a really powerful one. Now, before I give you a little tool I really like to use to overcome that, I want to know from, again, 1 to 5, how, do you see this as something that is definitely in your life blocking gratitude, or on the other end, not a problem at all, you don't really have that issue? One, 3, 2. We're having a very grateful group today, or at least one that is primed for great gratitude.
So one of the reasons would be what you had said earlier, the abundance that you have in Australia. So I have studied in schools and colleges that had a very diverse group of students. So I had studied with super rich kids. I had studied with very poor kids who can't even afford their daily food. So being close friends with a diverse group of people, I know that I should be actually excited for an extra plate of rice. I mean, that's the kind of exposure we have in this country. So yeah, as you know, the Mumbai slum and the richest person's home, is sited in the same city. So that's the kind of diversity that you can see in the country. So that is one of the reasons that I have not really become complacent with what I have. So even the home that I am now in is a new home. So this was built like 7 years ago. So before that, I was living in our ancestral home, which is like 150 years old. And when we shifted to this home, there is no day that passes without, noticing like, okay, this is my room. We didn't have a room like this back in our ancestral home. That was a common hall for all the 4 daughters. Like we have had our piece of fun in that common room. I've had memorable days in there. But when we got here, we are living a much luxurious life compared to how we were in that old home. But still, maybe the diversity is what keeps it going.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I've definitely, I think one of the solutions is to embrace a bit more of a minimalistic lifestyle. Take out all of the stuff you don't really need, and that does actually help you be a lot more grateful for what you do have. But the other process and tool. And this is something I remind myself of, and I have sticky notes in the mirror, in the bathroom, and in my room as well to remind me of that, is that we do stand on the shoulders of others. No success we've had or failure is just our own. All the people in your life that support you, parents, friends, colleagues, they are all part of what allows us to achieve what we want to do. But it can even go as far as, you know, the products and the services we have. I mean, this is only possible because a bunch of clever monkeys in Silicon Valley figured this out. And so we can all be connected during a crisis and epidemic. This way, we're standing on their shoulders to be able to do this. And by bringing that thinking in, I think it reinforces that humility as well, and to sort of say, I'm not achieving all of this by myself, but it also helps realize that all of these things are allowing me to be and do what I want to do. So it's interesting times we live in, and I think that's a good segue to the last obstacle, which is all about cultural norms. And we're going to split this one into two types of cultural norms. One is the societal norms, so the country we live in, the religion, the culture in which we live, and as well the company culture, so where we work and the people we surround ourselves with for most of the time. And I'll let Renee start with the corporate or company culture.
Yeah, so thank you, Maurice. And I think, you know, if we think about company culture, years ago, the word culture was you never heard the actual word, but in a nutshell, it's really just the shared beliefs, values, and social behaviours of a community. And we spend a third of our life at work, if we do 40 hours a week, which a lot of us know we don't do that. So it's about 90,000 hours of our life we spend in the workplace. And it's really, really important, I believe, and I know Maurice does, and studies are showing that we go from a transactional performance-based culture to one that's, you know, one that's really built on gratitude, recognition, feedback, and all of those things that interlink. A lot of companies think gratitude is a bit fluffy. There's still, you know, a few companies I'm coming across that are like, we'll call it recognition, and you can call it whatever you want. But the companies that are doing it well, that I work in quite a few of them, are the ones that take the time to look at self-reflection time as not indulgent, and take the time to really build things in where there's all this cross-collaboration and appreciation, which is really important. The former Campbell Soup CEO, you know, he sent out 30,000 thank you notes one Christmas, you know, and these sorts of things are great. But to me, it's all about things that have longevity, that live within the organisation, you know, after the tick or the plaque on the wall. So why do you think gratitude can be sort of put to the wayside in many businesses? And a lot of the time it's due to no self-reflection time, people seeing it as vague and fluffy. And some people actually worry that if they're in gratitude to others, they may not receive the same amount of gratitude. So back to Maurice's earlier point, ego comes into that. Closed mindsets, I call them bubble mindsets, not bursting, they're closed, they believe everything's fixed. It's not coming down from the leadership team. I'm a big believer everything starts at the top, and you can have a cascade of magic or a cascade of crap, and that's what happens. And it's got to be led from that level. There's been a lot of scientific studies around what gratitude does within a workplace, and we could talk all day about this, but it basically accelerates positive emotions. When people anchor, you would have heard of anchoring. So anchoring's all around a feeling or a thought that every time it comes up, you're stacking it to a point where you're reinforcing good behaviour and positive intention. Greater a sense of achievement of goals. If you're in gratitude for those around you, when you achieve something, when it gets tough again, even at a meta level, you can tap into how did we do that and how do we get there again. Less stress, higher attention, fewer sick days. The stats are all there, and we all know, and I think through COVID especially, wellbeing finally and mental health and all this sort of stuff is actually being prioritised more than it ever has been. So it's all around, you know, bringing that gratitude in. There's a team I'm working with at the moment, and I can't say the client, but the energy, even on a virtual call like this, is contagious. There is so much gratitude and appreciation for each other's differences and strengths that this team is always a top performing team. So I think going into the workplace, and a mantra I have is focus on people before process and progress, and that will come. Focus on the people, the recognition. Give for people the recognition, gratitude, feedback, the way they like it, not the way you like it, the way they like it. And it goes back to George's point. You've got to get to know your people. You don't have to get along with everyone, but you've got to tap into each other. So let's rate that one, 1 to 5. So in your business or workplace you're working in, you know, whether you have a direct influence or not, where do you sit on that one as far as an obstacle?
So 1 being it is an obstacle, 5 not, or the other way around? Yeah.
Yeah. No, one is it's perfect, 5 is it's a huge obstacle. Yeah. 2.5, 2. Yeah, that's quite good.
I think, Renee, you kind of asked a question as to why organisations are reticent to to enact gratitude within the workplace. I think there's a really simple 2-part answer. Firstly, and it bleeds into the second bit, but firstly, it's because organisations still struggle to wrap a financial benefit around the effects of gratitude, both with their staff, but also with their first customers, which is their staff, and then all their external customers.
Yeah.
And I think that is predicated off the second point, which is the world as it exists today exists in a space of imbalance in leadership. And that is, there is too much masculine energy led leadership, right? And not enough feminine energy, which is where predominantly the gratitude will come from. And because it's so masculine energy led, gratitude very often would be perceived as weakness or vulnerability. Yeah. And as a result, that's why there are not practices of gratitude that, especially, and it seems to be, you know, predominantly men exhibit masculine energy, but there are some women who exhibit it as well. Yeah. But at a leadership level, there is a massive imbalance in terms of the amount of feminine energy that needs to be exuded both by women and men in the way that they lead people. So let's get a panel discussion about that, because I would love to sit on that and have conversations about that, because it's a huge topic.
I think
it's a really, really valid point. Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting as well, like that masculine feminine debate in culture, and I think it's a good segue as well to my section more around cultural norms. Has anyone ever heard of Hofstede's 5-dimensional analysis, cultural analysis? So he actually has one of the dimensions is masculine versus feminine energy. And what he did was studied all sorts of countries and figure out, well, what's the balance? And certain cultures tend to have much more masculine than feminine energy. And from what I've seen in the countries I've visited, depending on where that is, I think the degree of gratitude those countries exhibit is also correlated in some way to that. So I think it's a interesting connection where at the end, it really matters what we value, right? That's what a culture is really created of. And if in your company culture, what's valued is process and financial records, and how are we going to get a 5% increase in revenue or growth or whatever it is, then that's making less space for that gratitude, recognition, mindset to take place.
Yeah.
On a country basis, and I think it's interesting to compare countries because it's quite insightful to our culture. In Laos or in Thailand, it's really one of the most grateful places I've ever been. People are extremely thankful. People are likely to be very kind and share whatever they have. And it's not just like people saying thank you, like they really mean it when they do say thank you. And if I compare that to places like America, they have a completely different value set. I mean, their number one value set is freedom. And here's a bit of a fun trivia. The state motto of New Hampshire is live free or die. They take this really seriously. Oh, we've got someone who's gotten up. Sorry, got a puppy here. But look, if you value freedom, then anything that stands in your way to that, you're not going to be grateful for. If you think if you think you're entitled again to freedom, or you deserve it, anything that stands in the way will also be a way to stop you from feeling gratitude for those things. So what do people think the culture in Australia is like on 1 to 5?
Overall, yeah. And the Holstead studies, we run a lot of that in our leadership. It's really good. Just Google it. It's really good, the 5 dimensions to Lucho. Yeah. So remember, 1's not an obstacle, 5's an obstacle. Yeah. Yeah. 3. Yeah. Who's happy to share why they think that? Why they've come up with that number?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, so look, I don't think we do very well here, and it's partly related to leadership. And I think it's what Luco was saying, particularly our leaders in business and and also political leaders. They've certainly got some masculine energies about them. And as a board director, I come across it a lot, because there's a lot of traits there that are still not, they've considered this fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
No doubt. And I just think in the world, if we, to get out of the doom and gloom of what we're going through, and also climate change, I'm a strong believer that we need more women as leaders in the world. So I'm really hoping that, Trump gets deposed and and then Biden snuffs it, and then the other lady comes up behind him. So that's a bit radical.
But Jill, you make a good point, right? And the simple thing is that the paradigm needs to be really clearly understood, right? Because of the way the society has evolved, feminine energy is predominantly expressed by women and masculine energy is predominantly expressed by men. But if we separate the genders out of the equation, what we're actually looking for is balance, because the only place where there is an imbalance in the whole universe is within the human being. Everything else manages to find its way back to balance. Nature, the cosmos, the animal kingdom, it all balances out. Whereas humans are in this epic struggle consistently of operating in an imbalanced state. And so within an individual, embracing the fact that I, as a man, can express masculine and feminine energy. And that would make me a complete human, separate of gender.
And it's, Lupo, it comes back to the yin and the yang. That's what this all comes back to. It's your energy. It's your...
Yeah,
you know.
I think there's a lot of things at play, and I agree with Julie. I've experienced, probably like everybody else, that unfortunate side, I guess, of lack of leadership.
Yeah.
And I think there's a number of things at play. One is the mindset is one of prove and do, rather than improve and learn, and vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a leader and you ask questions of your subordinates, I mean, what a word to use, subordinate.
Oh.
Not like it's stupid. Then it shows a lack of intelligence. That's the conclusion, people. So then people naturally resist.
Yeah.
So there's that side of it. The other thing too, I believe, is that you talk about equality and equity on boards and in management, and it goes beyond gender. It goes across race, colour, and creed.
Yeah.
So
and age.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at,
not a lot of young people on boards.
Julie would be able to talk to this more than any of us. How many Indigenous people sit on any board?
Yeah.
How many Asians sit on a board?
It's true.
So when you start looking at it, that's where you get that lack of diversity. And if you've got lack of diversity, then how are people thinking?
Yeah. And it's the diversity that's allowed to form the inclusion.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, not just being there.
Well, you on the call.
I have a question. So when it comes to power, so do people feel that, so if you express gratitude, you feel weak, some sort of it, like, you know, when you say thanks to people, you feel not in that power position. Does it happen? Because I guess I have noticed that common trait in some people. I just want to know if it is a factor.
It's a common subconscious Western trait.
Yeah. And it's,
we don't realize it. A lot of people don't realize it, but it's just because of the way our society is geared towards acquisition, performance, achievement, strength, and then that leads to power. And as a result, then anytime you do anything that looks like not like that, then you're weak.
Yeah.
It's a very binary way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
But that all happens on a very deep subconscious level. It's the way that our society is structured. It's the way that we, who we look at as idols, sports people who are powerful and hit each other and all that. So it's the focus of where we put our energy, and it's the stories that we tell ourselves that then feed into our subconscious, and then as a result make it. There are some men, I know some men who literally have never hugged their father in their whole life, never kissed their father. That speaks to how broken on a subliminal and subconscious level that paradigm is.
Yeah. And it is, and to Maurice's points before, you know, your family, your values, your experience. And I think one of the biggest blockers to living with courage and gratitude is default thinking and default being. Just for the sake of time, can everyone just grab a piece of blank paper and a pen? And I want you to get your hand on the piece of paper, and we want you to trace your hand. You weren't expecting that, were you?
Left hand or right hand?
Either. Not your foot. Okay. What we want you to do is just take a minute or two, just self-reflection if everyone's happy to, and just get your 5 key takeaways from today's session, because we didn't get to do, I call them breakthrough rooms. We didn't get to do that today, and we're a nice intimate group. So Maurice and I just thought your 5 key takeaways or action points or thoughts, and then we'll share a few and we'll wrap it up. We really encourage you, just based on the session like this we ran the other week, you know, what are the maybe 2 lowest scoring obstacles that or 2 areas that you can really tap into to bring those actions to life. Who's happy to just share a few key takeouts? Craig.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Firstly, I'd just like to say thank you very much for the session. I was sort of oohing and ahhing with time and everything where to go, and I've got a lot out of it. I think it's been really good, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that self-awareness, just reflection, and for me, being more specific when you give gratitude, to make that person also really feel that they can take that on as a very sincere gratitude, and also probably to bring a little bit more into the workplace.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. There's some teams we're working with that will just kick off a session with, you know, what's the best thing that's happened, or who in this group do you want to thank for something? And you can use different language. You know, I'm working with some building companies. We don't use gratitude, we use recognition. Call it whatever you want, but it's some great ways. So that's awesome. Thank you.
I'm happy to share mine, Renee. I jotted down courageous compliments, deep reflection, balance, know the path, and respect.
Beautiful. Nice.
Clearly, I'm a bit more verbose than Lupcho, so mine's a whole.
Oh, look at you,
Joe.
Do you want to share some, Jenny, and then we'll move to Michael?
I think the specific, like what Craig said, the making gratitude really specific, I think really resonates with me. Something I really like doing, and I think I just forgot. You know, like sometimes you get into the habit of doing stuff and then you forget, but I always used to send really nice audio messages, like when I appreciate something, just to record a little audio message on my phone and send it to the person, and people really, really appreciate and like it, or like just like a little video message. And I just, you know, sometimes you get so busy in your own world that you forget, but I really want to get back to doing that again.
Nice. Love that. Beautiful. Michael, I think you were next.
Yeah. Can you? Yeah. Yeah. I like the way you've sort of unpacked the material. I had to do an event on gratitude just yesterday, and so I brought my learning, my background, my sort of views on things into it. So it was just really refreshing to hear it unpacked in a completely different ways. And specifically, I like this thinking around self-entitlement and great gratitude. Those were 2 really interesting aspects. The one that I'm really sort of want to go forward and reflect is, and this is listening to the last part of the discussion, and I think what a lot of what we talked about is actually based on the fact that we live in a very fearful society. But we don't actually perceive it as fear. So we cover, this sense of vulnerability that could help us to go through the fear with this bravado, very masculine bravado sort of way to protect ourselves. So just some insights into that.
Yeah, great. And thanks for being on the session too. Julie. If you look at me, you get chosen.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been wonderful, actually. I like being reminded, actually, by Lupo that masculine and feminine energy doesn't have to be gender specific. I thought that was actually something that was very profound. And I know he's told me that before, but he's just reminded me of it. And yeah, also that specificness is very valuable, which means to understand people more, which is probably what I try to do. But I think that we can get tied up in our own agendas so that we don't take time to understand where other people are coming from. So that was very profound, I thought. And obviously mindset, that's a big word.
Yes, it is. Awesome. Thanks, Julie. Deepa.
Yeah, so one of the things I really felt grateful for is the concept of complacency. I never thought of it like that way. So it was there in my subconscious mind, something like that. But having a word or having a story behind it, that concept I really loved it. The concept of complacency, and the other thing is thanking for specific things rather than just saying thank you, because most of the times when I thank my friends, they take it as, okay, don't be formal, we are friends. But I have this thing of, it's not being formal. I'm really grateful, but if I had added what I'm really grateful for, then I can actually communicate that I am genuinely thanking you. It's not just a thank you, but I'm thanking you for being here, or I am thanking you for listening me out. That thanking for specific things is one of the key takeaways for the day. And one other thing is, what I liked is realizing what people love or what makes people happy, and that concept also I liked, like realizing what makes them happy, and and thanking them for that, or thanking based on that.
Yeah,
So those,
beautiful. Because I think sometimes we go from our mind's eye, but I say we've got to go from our heart's eye as well and get that balance.
When Deepa
yeah.
was talking, it reminded me of I can't remember what it's called, but there's that book. Is it the What's Your Love Language?
Yeah, 5 languages.
Yeah. So actually kind of understanding from people how they actually like to be, have gratitude shown to them.
Yeah, good point, Jenny. Yeah, didn't think of that, because it is different ways. Yeah. George.
Yeah, so the things that sort of sparked in my mind were connectedness and inclusiveness, clarity. So particularly when we talk about values and beliefs, you see it a lot. Unfortunately, we've talked a fair bit about the values that a business may have, and it's basically a poster on the wall. Teamwork. What the hell does that mean? And I think that tends to undermine a lot of good work or good thinking within a business, because that clarity is not provided.
Yeah.
Fairness, which Michael talked about, balance, and then courage through vulnerability. They're the things that sort of sparked out for me that are related, if you like.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Maurice, did you want to? Are you on mute? Mute. I'll just do the ear thing now.
All right. So that brings us to the end of the session. I'm just going to share my screen quickly.
Can we do a quick photo before we do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we do the heart thingy or not? Which side's your heart? Left. Okay. Are you going to do it, Jen?
Yeah.
Okay. We do a
What are we doing?
hand on heart. I'm here to find it. No, hang on. There it is. Cool. Thank you.
I think
Hey, Jenny.
some of the screens are flipped, and so I don't know if you noticed, but people have.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
Your heart is wherever it is.
Okay, Maurice is just going to share something, and then we'll.
Awesome. So these were the 5 obstacles: reflective time, lack of awareness, entitlement, vagueness, complacency, and then the 2 types of cultural norms we covered, one in the workplace and the other one is societal/ethnic. Hopefully everyone's taken lots of notes, so that's good. Oh, and a screenshot of that. That's also much easier to do.
Yep.
So just as an overview of where we are in the process, today we covered the 5 obstacles to living in gratitude, which was all about getting more insight into what stops us, where the walls are. Then the next one is really about a process that we've developed, as Renee was saying earlier, the heart process, to find more gratitude for everyday things. the helping you overcome the obstacles and changing your mindset. And then the last one is a very interactive session where it's all about really practicing it, exploring different ways to bring gratitude to life that work for you. Everyone's heard of the gratitude journal, but that doesn't work for everyone. So finding what really works for you and how to bring it into your life.
And your teams. So you can have teams working on this. Yeah.
That's right. So this is the gratitude series, which we'll be taking in-house. But today was really a way to share it with the public, to get some engagement based on that, of course, to get you started on uncovering some of the obstacles. It is a bit short notice. We are running the second session on Thursday at the same time, so at 9:30. If you do want to join, you can use that link, but we can also send you the link post this event, so you can go and register for that one if you like.
Thanks, Maurice. Thanks, Renee. I think everyone got a huge amount out of it. I might just ask if everyone wants to. Can you, Maurice or Renee, put that link into the chat box? And it would be great if we could just have 1 or 2 words that you can share about what you got out of the session, how the session made you feel. That would be wonderful. We really appreciate you guys putting this on for Symphony 7. I know we all got a lot of value out of it. It really just makes you think differently and ask different questions than what we're used to asking ourselves. So we really, really appreciate. Thank you guys so much.